So today I just wanted to chat with you guys, and this is probably really more so for people who are in their 20s, 21 and above for the most part, simply because this video is about alcohol and drinking, and it's just kind of my story of why I chose not to drink, or for the most part why I choose not to drink. I tend to get a lot of questions about it, or when I was in college, I definitely got a lot of questions about why I didn't drink or why I chose not to drink. And while it wasn't really something that I ever really thought about, like intently decided to just not drink, made a definite decision. It was just something that as I grew, as I matured, I just realized it wasn't for me. However, that did not stop the questions and the pressuring and all the things that come along with college and college culture and drinking culture. And so I am in the U.S., and in the U.S. there's definitely a college culture and a drinking culture. So we'll start with, I guess, my experience with alcohol and my background with it. I won't say that my experience is unique to me. While I don't think that it is normal for everyone, I do think it is a reality for some people. So I definitely did some underage drinking. I did not wait until I was 21 to drink alcohol. And that may be the reason why the way that I look at alcohol differs. And while that is illegal in the U.S., it's not, I don't think that's the case everywhere. Don't quote me on that because I didn't look that up. So, growing up, like, my mom doesn't drink alcohol. She didn't have alcohol in the house for the most part. If there was ever, the only time I remember there ever being like alcohol in the house was if an older cousin of mine like bought it over and left it there, or asked her if they could keep it there for whatever random reason. For the most part, my mom does not drink. So growing up, like, there was really no alcohol in the house. Not to say that there was never alcohol around me. However, I grew up with my mom, but my dad's side of the family is different. They drink. They get together at family gatherings and they play music and they eat and they have fun and they drink. Like, that's one of the things that they choose to do. And so growing up, like, I wasn't completely sheltered and didn't know about alcohol, knew it existed. And of course, my parents weren't the ones giving it to me underage for the most part. So I had my first drink when I was in high school. I was pretty rebellious in high school. I actually got kicked out of high school. That's for another video though. So when I was a freshman, I hung out with older kids, seniors and juniors, that kind of thing. I don't know why. That's just who I hung out with. And so I hung out with older kids, and they didn't always make the best decision. But honestly, teenagers don't always make the best decision. I won't say that they were a bad group of kids, because I don't believe in bad kids or bad teenagers or bad people in general. I believe in bad decisions. Like, people make bad decisions. It's what we do sometimes. So I was hanging out with them. There's a plaza next to our high school we would go hang out at. We were there at like a little store one day where you can buy like groceries and everything like that. And somebody bought a wine cooler package of like 6 wine coolers, right? My boyfriend at the time did tell me not to drink one. I didn't want to listen. Like, I was rebellious. So I didn't want to listen. I drank one anyway. Didn't think about whether or not my mom would be upset at me or anything like that. Didn't cross my mind. She probably still doesn't know. Maybe she does. I don't remember telling her, but it's my mom. I wouldn't be surprised if she did know. So I had it. It was sweet. It was a wine cooler. Didn't taste the alcohol in it. Had one wine cooler. Didn't feel affected. Nothing dramatic happened. That was my first taste of alcohol. Went on about life. Later on in high school, my second taste of alcohol was I was with a friend at her house. She was having a sleepover. I think I was one of the only people that she invited. If there was another person, I don't remember. But she invited me. Her mom gave us some alcohol. I think she was turning 16. I was probably 17 at the time. Yeah. So her mom gave us some papaya juice with a little bit of vodka. And, we drank it. I drank some. She drank some. I think I had about 2 mugs. I don't know how much she had. We just kind of hung out at the house, danced, chilled, ate some food, spent the night at her house, got up the next morning. She had a hangover. I didn't. So, of course, at this point, I'm kind of like, well, dang, like, I don't have a hangover. She expects me to have a hangover. I don't know much about alcohol measurement. Didn't know much about it back then. Don't know if it should have given me a hangover. Don't know what my tolerance is. So I was just kind of like, okay, thought nothing about it. Went on about life. Then when I was, at this point, I was definitely 17 for sure. And so on my dad's side of the family, if you're at an event, it probably doesn't even have to be a family gathering, but typically from what I understood was at a family gathering, if you are at least 17 and you want to try alcohol, they will let you because you are there with them as adults. And their thinking is that if they know that you have an interest in it, they would rather you try it with them in their presence so that way they can watch you and allow you to kind of get acclimated to alcohol and get an introduction to it so that you're not out God knows where, doing God knows what, with God knows who, and potentially putting yourself in danger, right? So you don't have to feel the need to sneak around to drink alcohol on my father's side of the family. So my dad let me taste my first beer. It was disgusting. I don't even remember what kind it was, but I remember not liking it. And so, the papaya juice and vodka, that was gross too. That I tried at my friend's house. That was gross too. Yeah, papaya juice itself isn't really good to me, and then vodka isn't good to me. So no. Beer was gross. I remember that same day that I tried it though at my dad's with family around, all the stuff, tried to sip a beer and was like, I don't like this. My grandmother asked me to go into the kitchen and pour her like a mixed drink. I don't know what it's called. It's like pink and slushy, and you put whipped cream on top. Some of you out there who drink probably know what this is called. Type it in the comments. But I poured my grandmother's some, put the whipped cream on top, and took it to her. She, of course, jokingly was like, did you taste some? Did you taste a sip? And I did. And I don't know why I didn't. Probably because I don't drink out of other people's cups. So I just didn't taste it. I was just like, I'm making it for my grandma. That's it. And so I made it for her. She had it. She enjoyed it. Life goes on. Then we get to like my dad dropping me off at college. I was 19 when I graduated high school. So coming into college, the college atmosphere, I wasn't old enough or of age to legally drink, and my campus was a dry campus. So I really didn't drink my freshman year. Then I turned 21. I turned 21. So I'm legally able to drink now. When I first came to college, my focus was definitely more so of my studies. My freshman year, I focused more so on my studies than anything because I didn't think I was going to make it to college. Once again, got kicked out of high school. That's another story for another time. So my study was really on my focus was really on my studies. And so I wasn't really thinking about the college life like some people think about it. Going into college, a lot of people get excited to get away from their parents, to go party, to go live their own life, to not have rules about curfews or going out to parties or drinking, all those things that they have at home. A lot of people get excited because those rules aren't there. Well, with me going to college, I was focused on my studies because I had a scholarship and I wanted to do well, and not doing well wasn't really an option, I guess. I don't know. I didn't think it was. But I also didn't really have strict parents. Like, my mom at this point, she was kind of like, well, you're growing up. Like, you got to get out there one way or another. Like, my parents never really sheltered me. They kind of just let me do my own thing. They still had rules and things in place to keep me safe, of course. But in terms of you can't go to parties or you can't do that, like, that was never really a thing. So went to college. Oh, man. Okay, so in middle school, I did have Jaeger at a party with older people. And once the guy found out that me and my friend were underage at this party, he kicked us out. So that was also an experience I had with alcohol. And if you've ever had Jaeger, you probably know why I forgot about it. It's disgusting. It literally tastes like cough syrup. So if you choose to drink, don't ever drink Jaeger. It's gross. So in college, turned 21. Of course, my friends are excited. They're ready for me. They're like, hey, we got to take you out. We got to get you some drinks. You know, we got to get you some drinks and stuff. And I remember specifically one of my friends, we used to go to like the store together and stuff. She was like, so how does it feel to be 21? I think I was a few weeks into being 21. My birthday is in the winter, so there's usually not a lot to do. I'm not into the cold weather, so I don't really like going out into the cold weather. So she had asked me if I had had a drink yet, and I had probably been 21 for a couple of months. And I was like, no, not really. Haven't had anything to drink. She's like, oh, we gotta take you out, get you to a bar. We gotta have you taste something. She gave me a few suggestions of things that she likes and that kind of thing. And actually at my school, even though we were a dry campus, of course, you know, you can still get alcohol on campus if you want to, if you sneak it in. Don't do it. It's not worth it. But there's also like bars up the street and whatnot. And there was this one bar that actually gave people what was called a fish bowl. And it's basically, from my understanding, just a giant bowl with a bunch of alcohol in it. But she mentioned that as well. She's like, you can get a fish bowl if you go to this place and whatnot. But I wasn't really interested in any of that. So fast forward all through my 21, my year of being 21, the year that you're supposed to experience all this drinking and like get introduced to it. And it's supposed to be really exciting. I actually didn't drink at all when I was 21. I honestly didn't drink at all when I was 21. I don't really have a reason why. It wasn't a decision, like I said, that I was like, you know what, I'm just not gonna drink. No, I think it's just simple fact that I was on campus most of the time. At this point, I wasn't just going to class. I was joining different groups and stuff. And so that's what kind of ate up my time. And then when I was chilling out, I mean, I did hang out with friends and stuff. I won't say that they never drunk or that all of my friend groups did drink. It was just kind of like, it depends on what it was. I attempted to go to a few parties, but somehow the plans always got canceled. So I never really went to any parties in college either to be able to like access alcohol. So for the most part, I didn't drink. Age 21. Turned 22, went on a study abroad. Someone had left me on the beach to walk myself back to my hotel, and to apologize, they bought me a drink. So, because they were offering to buy a drink, and I had never tried a cranberry on the rocks, I was like, I want to try a cranberry on the rocks. So they put their money at the bar, and I told the bartender what I wanted. He made it for me. It was not all it was cracked up to be. Of course, it was super bitter because of the vodka in it, and I felt like that's all I could taste. I mean, I definitely had him add some more cranberry, but cranberry's bitter too. So I do like cranberry juice by itself, like straight cranberry juice, not the cocktail blends and stuff that you get at the stores. It was gross. I'm glad I bought a sandwich to go with it, because you should never drink on an empty stomach. Like, don't do it. I bought a sandwich to go with it. The sandwich was great, but the drink wasn't all it was cracked up to be. So, like, majority of my teenage life and my now adult life, I had waited to have a cranberry on the rocks, and it wasn't great. Like, I was just like, this isn't that great. Not that I knew what a cranberry on the rocks was, for real. So, in study abroad, get back to school the next year, go out with a friend and his roommate. They bought me a drink, and I took a sip of it. It was okay. Don't remember what it was. Didn't drink it for the rest of the night. I don't know if, like, I think the bartender just ended up taking it away. But, because they said I was babysitting it. And, of course, they joked with me and whatnot. It was just like, oh, you're babysitting your drink and blah, blah. And I was just kind of like, yeah, it's not that great. So, I just didn't do it. And I think at this point, I kind of started to realize that, like, okay, drinking isn't my thing. Like, I don't care for it. I don't think about it. When I think about going out, having fun, hanging out with my friends, that is not something that is even remotely in my mind, let alone, like, some people, it's at the top of their list. Like, where are we going for drinks? Who's bringing the drinks? It just wasn't for me. And so I went to college for like 6 years. I changed my major. That's a whole nother thing. But by the end of my college career, I was like, nah, I'm good. I remember doing finals week, and I think this was the last sip of alcohol that I had. Me and a friend went out to a restaurant. She's a close friend of mine, and she had like some type of margarita drink, and she asked me if I wanted a sip. I said, yeah. It was cool. It wasn't bad. I just, wasn't really impressed. Didn't really care for it. So then I kind of started to realize, okay, drinking is not for me. And I kind of just made that decision like, okay, I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to invest time, energy, or effort into drinking. Like, it's just not my thing. And that's okay. But being in college and being a part of a college campus where people do drink, because here in the U.S. there is a drinking culture within college culture, and a lot of people go to college not only to pursue their education, but also to get away from home and have fun and have all these great experiences. And for some people, they really look forward to drinking. And for some of those people, they think that everybody should look forward to drinking and consuming alcohol, even to the point of getting drunk. And so for those of you out there who are maybe in your 20s and in college, well, you definitely should be in your 20s. Like, you should not be underage drinking like I was. Don't do it. Wait. It's not all it's cracked up to be. But I think that's part of the reason I really wasn't interested in alcohol once I got to 21, because I had tried it beforehand and I wasn't really impressed with it. And I knew it was something I really didn't care for. And so whenever I made the decision to stop drinking, or made the decision to say I don't drink, I would get questions, or not so questions, but more so statements. Like, okay, I would get the question, I always got the question like, why? Is it because you're Christian? And then, of course, you get the statement that Jesus turned water into wine, which, yes, he turned water into wine, but it never says that he actually consumed said wine. He turned water into wine for the wedding party, and probably more so to be obedient to his mom. Not because he wanted to consume the wine himself and get drunk. So that's something that people usually say. And then they also will say, oh, well, don't you want to have fun? Don't you want to loosen up? Don't you want to enjoy yourself? Don't you want to relax? Don't you want to de-stress? Like, they have all these reasons that they drink. And while their reasons may be valid to them, they're just not valid to me. And so for me, I was just kind of like, no, I don't think that I need alcohol to have fun or be more sociable. I don't think that drinking alcohol makes any experience more fun. If anything, because alcohol is a downer, it probably dulls the experience. Like, if you're in an experience and you want to enjoy it to the fullest, I think the best way to do that is to do it sober, is to do it uninhibited, because then you can fully experience it and fully remember it and not have even the potential that something is getting in the way of that experience. So I don't think you need to drink alcohol to have fun. I don't think you need to drink alcohol to be more sociable. If you are shy or you're just more reserved, then that is who you are. That's your personality. And if that's genuinely how you are, then that's okay. You don't need to change that because you're at an event and you want to talk to people. Like, whoever you're meant to cross paths with in this life and become friends with in this life, whether it be for a season or for the rest of your life, it'll happen. It'll happen the way that it's supposed to happen without you changing who you are. In fact, if you choose to change who you are, you might actually end up meeting people that you were never supposed to cross paths with. Who knows? So in terms of being more outgoing because I drank some alcohol, I'm not going to say I'm not outgoing, but I'm open to people. So if I'm somewhere and they want to come up and talk to me, I'm going to say hi. I'm going to be talkative and sociable. And I don't need alcohol to do that. And I don't think drinking alcohol is going to make me more likely to go up to someone and say something to them to start a conversation with them. Like, that's not something you need alcohol to do. Everyone is capable of talking and starting a conversation. You could literally start a conversation about anything with anyone. Like, you could look at their shoes or something they're wearing and give them a compliment, and that's a whole conversation. Like, where'd you get it from? What kind of styles do you like? Like, you could start a conversation about anything with anyone new. So it was there are certain lies about alcohol, especially in college, that I just don't subscribe to. I don't think you needed to have more fun. I don't think you needed to be more sociable. I don't think you needed to de-stress or help you to relax. For me personally, I don't know. Like, I know alcohol is a downer, but I don't think it'll help you relax. Like, maybe for some people, but for me personally, not really. In times to relax, and I just chill. That's what I do. I did look up some facts though. So one of the things that I found out, and it's so funny because I really genuinely think alcohol for me would be a waste of time because I don't like it and I don't like the way it tastes, and that's just me personally. But I also think it would be a waste of money, which is interesting because I did look up how much Americans on average spend a year, like, on alcohol. So the average household spends about 1% of its total annual gross income on alcohol, which for the average household in America is $565. When I found that out, I was like, wow, like, I'm glad that I don't feel the need to buy alcohol because I didn't drink it a lot in college. It's not something that I need to maintain now that I'm out of college and now that I'm in my adult life. I don't feel a need to maintain it as like a thing where I go out every Friday night with friends and I have to buy a drink. Like, it's not something I feel like needs to be a part of my weekly or monthly life. So it's not something that I have to budget for or spend money on. And when I think about it, I'm just like, there are people out there who are spending that much on alcohol a year and probably don't even know it. Like, because they feel like they need to drink every Friday night, or that they have to have a drink if they're going to do certain things with certain people. They're spending, and that's the average amount. That's not to say how much someone who makes more money is probably going to spend more. Those who make less money is hopefully going to spend less on alcohol. But if you like have a financial goal or something that you want to do, and you're debating whether or not you want to stop drinking alcohol or start drinking alcohol, know that if you're buying your own alcohol, that's not going to help you get to that goal any faster. Like, there's a trade-off, right? And so that's just one of the benefits that I feel like I get by not drinking alcohol, is I'm not spending $500 a year on it. That's not to say that $500 isn't going somewhere else, because it probably is going to something else that I would choose to spend my money on. Or if not, it's going into my savings account, or it's going towards a financial goal that I have. So when I think about it, I think about like, man, it was such work getting my car. Like, getting my car was like a lot of financial work, a lot of saving, a lot of waiting and saving and budgeting. It was just hard. And so I think, like, if I would have been drinking alcohol or felt the need to drink alcohol, like, if I had developed that as a habit, then that probably would have made that process a little bit harder, a little bit more difficult. And it was as difficult as it could have been anyway. So another thing that I found out, and I kind of already knew this, is that alcohol is empty calories. Alcohol calories are dense, empty calories, which means that you get no nutritional value from them. And if I'm going to consume empty calories. My first choice is going to be ice cream every single time. Like, it's going to be probably a plain old vanilla ice cream, but if I'm going to consume empty calories, I'm going with ice cream. Like, a gin and tonic is 160 calories, and a glass of wine is a 5 fluid ounce. Glass of wine that is 5 fluid ounces is 120 calories. And so I think about, like, there are people out there who are wanting to do well and wanting to have better health and all this stuff. And it's like, you could be exercising, working out, eating right, but then if you're just drinking alcohol every so often, once a week, you could be working against your own goals in terms of fitness. So if you need reasons to not drink, that's one reason. Like, well, that's actually two. You could save money by not drinking or drinking less, and you could be a little bit healthier by not drinking or drinking less. The last thing that I thought of everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. So a lot of people would ask me if I chose not to drink because of my faith in Christ. While my answer initially is no, not really, I genuinely don't really gravitate towards alcohol. I don't care for it. I don't care for the taste. I know that I save money by not consuming it or paying for it, and I'm not consuming empty calories that I don't need and that don't help me reach my fitness goals. And so, but in terms of just having something that kind of supports and encourages me, or did encourage me through my journey, especially being in college when you're around people who are not constantly drinking, but drink pretty often, or wondering why you don't, and you may feel like you kind of stick out, or you get all these questions, or sometimes you feel like you even get pressure from friends to drink. One of the verses that helped me was 1 Corinthians 6:12, which says, everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. Everything is permissible for me, but I won't be mastered by anything. And so a lot of times when you're first getting introduced to alcohol, especially when you're in college and you're growing, you're young, like, there are going to be some people who drink it and drink it irresponsibly, or even become addicted to it, or feel like they need it to relax or to get past something, or to be someone else, or to be better in a sense. However, that is allowing alcohol to master them. When you feel like you need a substance or something in order to make it through, in order to get through your day, that is allowing that thing to master you. And we're talking about alcohol, but it could be anything. As much as I love ice cream, I don't feel like I need ice cream to get over a breakup, or to get through a moment of loneliness or depression or anxiety. Like, I don't feel like that's what I need at the end of the day to help me relax. There have been times where I have been stressed out and I was like, man, a piece of chocolate would be good. But I usually don't give into that, because I don't want to develop that habit of thinking that a piece of food or some type of substance or even a TV show is going to solve my problem. Even though it might make me feel better in the moment, I don't want to potentially start going to that when I have issues or when I have problems. So if I'm thinking about something and I think it'll make me feel better, for example, there are people who like to shop when they feel bad. I wait. I'm just like, we just gonna wait and let this feeling pass. I'm gonna pray about it, read a couple of verses, and we gonna be okay. And then when I'm fine, when the things are good, then I can go do whatever it is I want to do. But yeah, everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. And so for me, I don't think that alcohol is beneficial to me. It doesn't taste good. I don't want to spend my money on it. And I don't want to waste my calories on it. I'm not really sure how to say that, but you get the point. And so if you're out there and you're trying to decide, is this something that is going to benefit me? Probably not really. Like, there's nothing really that alcohol can do for you. It's something to enjoy in moderation, but there's nothing it can actually do for you to help you become better, reach a goal, or whatever. And so 9 times out of 10, your life is probably going to be better without it. And if you are feeling pressure to drink it, you can say no. Like, it might be tough at first, but hopefully you have friends in a community who will respect your decision not to drink alcohol, who will respect your decision not to consume it. And if not, then maybe you need some new friends. My friends, for the most part, even if they choose to drink, they respect the fact that I don't drink, just like I respect the fact that that's something that they choose to do. They don't ever pressure me to drink if we're hanging out and whatnot. I will say, usually if they are a newer friend and they don't know that I don't drink, or they don't think I'm serious about the fact that I don't drink, I guess, they will kind of say like, oh, you should, I want you to taste it, I want you to have fun with me, like all these things that they think drinking does for them. And that's fine. But typically, I've gotten to a point now, I'm 28, I'm not like 21, 22 anymore. Not that that was the case when I was. Like, I can stand my ground and say, like, no, thank you, I'm fine. I promise I'm having a good time without the alcohol. I'm great. You enjoy yours. That's great, but I'm fine. I also let them know I don't babysit drunk people. It's never been a thing. It will never be a thing. If you are my friend and we go out together and you decide that you want to get drunk, that is not something I agree with, and I will not be responsible for babysitting you. I let them know this before they take one too many drinks. I'm just like, look, we can go out together, but I'm not babysitting drunk people. I don't have the capacity to babysit grown people who choose to get drunk and do irresponsible things, because getting drunk should never be a thing that you should choose to do. Now, if you're underage, you shouldn't be drinking at all. I'm aware that I drank when I was underage, but you definitely shouldn't be drinking at all. If you're 21 and above and you choose to drink, you should do so safely. That is one thing that my dad did prepare me for, even though I think he pretty much knew that I wasn't big on drinking. And he's actually one of the people that when I did feel like I was being pressured, I would go talk to him. I would call him up and I'd be like, Dad, I hung out with this friend and they really just couldn't accept the fact that I don't drink. And sometimes it's tough because you do get pressure, like peer pressure is a thing. And sometimes it's tough. Like, you deal with it, especially when you're younger and you're in college and you're growing up and stuff. So my dad was thankfully one of those people who supported me and was just like, hey, if your choice is not to drink, then don't do it. Like, you don't have to do it. He was just kind of encouraging me by telling me stuff I already knew, but it was just kind of encouraging me and giving me, like, that extra, like, okay, like, Dad's got my back, like, right? So, and he, of course, always told me, like, if you choose to drink, do it responsibly. But if you don't, you can still have fun without drinking, which is totally true. I've done a ton of fun things, and none of them really involved alcohol. And so, if you choose to drink responsibly. Drink responsibly. Don't ever go out or go into a situation with the goal to get drunk. And if you're with people whose goal is to get you drunk because they want to see how you're going to act while you're drunk, then don't go with them. Those people do not have your best interests at heart. They do not care for you. Even if they are your so-called friends, you need to find new friends or not hang out with them in that atmosphere, because no one should ever pressure you to do anything you don't want to do. They should always respect your decision. And if you're going to go out with friends and you're going to go drinking, you should have friends that are going to look out for you and make sure you're going to get home safely and wake up the next morning and be safe. Okay? If you're going to go out drinking and you're going to allow people to buy you drinks, make sure that if they bring you a drink to your table, that it's closed. Like if it's a beer and it comes in a can, make sure it's not open, okay? Make sure that if they buy you a drink, you go to the bar with them. They can pay for the drink. You get the drink from the bartender. This is a tip from my dad. Don't ever take a drink from somebody and you don't know where it came from. Even if you think you know, like, oh, they just went right up there and came right back. There are a million things that could have happened to that drink on the way from the bar to you, or on the way from wherever it was made to you. The keg to you, the bar to you, whatever. Don't drink responsibly if you're going to drink. If you are not going to drink, then that is perfectly okay. Know that you don't have to be pressured into it. If it's a decision that you're saying no right now, you can always say yes later if you choose to. Unless you pray about it and according to your fate, it's just something that is not for you, that either God says is not for you, or that through prayer you realize it's not for you. For me personally, while I know that drinking is permissible, right now I choose not to drink. It's just not something that I'm concerned about. That's not to say that later in my life I won't choose to, but I see no reason to. And so if you are like me and you're wanting to experience your life, your college life, and that journey, and you're wanting to do it sober, then do so. And know that you are not the only one. Because I definitely wasn't the only one of my friends who didn't drink. I wasn't the only one of my friends who chose not to. And we all have our own different reasons for not drinking. It does not have to be the same reasons that I have. Every person is different. Every person is unique. However, if you are wanting to pursue what's best for your life, and that means not drinking, then you should have a community that supports you. You have my full support if you don't have anybody else's, because you can definitely live this life sober and love it and enjoy it to the fullest. So I just want to encourage those of you out there who are kind of borderline, or you don't know, or you're not sure if you're going to college, if you're already in college, if you are somewhere where there is a heavy drinking culture or drinking culture in general, and you're trying to decide, or you don't necessarily feel completely comfortable consuming alcohol, or maybe you know that you're consuming it in a high amount and you want to slow down, it's perfectly okay. Like, you don't have to give in to the pressure. If you need to, have some people, like I had my dad and I definitely had my mom that I could call. They were only a call away, but, if you need to have people that are there with you, then find those people. Find that community that's going to encourage you to stay sober if that's your goal, even if it's just for a time period or if it's for the rest of your life. Because just because the rest of the world says that you should be drinking at a young age and you should be going out partying at a young age and doing all these things doesn't mean it's true. I did look up some other Bible verses concerning what the Bible says about wine. So in Proverbs 4:17, it says that they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. So wine has an ability to lower the capacity for self-control. It's a downer. It can cause you to have slower reflexes, and it can cause you to just slow down in what you do because it's a downer. So a lot of people will, get into fights while they're drunk and do all this stuff while they're drunk. And while not everybody should blame that on alcohol, because it isn't always alcohol, it is one of those things that can cause you to not have as much self-control. And if you're in a situation where you are fueled by anger or fueled by strong emotions, you could end up doing something you regret. It doesn't necessarily mean you could be violent. You could be non-violent. You could be completely unable to defend yourself and totally taken advantage of. But if you choose not to drink, that is decreasing the possibility of something negative happening to you while you're out and about. Okay? You are more aware. And so one of the other things is that it can destroy a person's efficiency. So in Proverbs 21:17, it says, "He who loves pleasure will become poor. Whoever loves wine and oil will never be rich." And so if you consume a lot of alcohol and you're buying a lot of alcohol, you're spending a lot of money on alcohol, and that could be one of the things that's inhibiting your financial goals. That's just looking at it in a practical sense. But you could also be damaging your reputation if you're drunk and you do something that you might regret. You could potentially lose a job or a chance at getting a job, or something could end up on social media, especially these days with people who you think are your friends. They could record it, post it to social media. You could potentially get kicked out of school, especially if you're caught drinking on campus. and things go wrong, things go left, like there's a lot that you could risk, especially if you're drinking irresponsibly and you're drinking underage and you're drinking on campus if it's a dry campus. I know that a lot of people like to think they're not going to get caught or they're not going to get in trouble or it's going to be okay. And while you may get away with it a few times, it's not always a guarantee. And it's better to be safe than sorry. So that's another benefit of not drinking. You don't potentially destroy your future. I don't think you could like destroy your future, but you don't destroy your immediate future by getting in trouble because you were drunk and you weren't supposed to be. Proverbs 31, 4 through 7. I'm sorry, I have to flip the pages for this one. This is the one that talks about leaders. 4 through 7. It is not for kings, O Lamal, not for kings to drink wine, not for rulers to crave beer, lest they drink and forget the laws, decrees, and deprive all of the oppressed of their rights. Give beer to those who are perishing, wine to those who are in anguish. Let them drink and forget their poverty and remember misery no more. So this talks about how wine and beer and alcohol are not for leaders. It's not for those who are in leadership, because leaders have to make wise decisions. And if you are inhibited by any substance, then you are less likely to make wise decisions concerning the people that you are leading. So, in terms of being in college, just one of the examples I think of, if you are a leader of a group, or if you're a leader within a group, within an organization, if you are a leader, sometimes organizations have rules about code of conduct, and every school has a student code of conduct, and some of those will say that you cannot drink, or if you're representing a group, like for example, if you go on a group trip and you're out somewhere and y'all decide to go to a local bar, there might be a code of conduct that says you are not allowed to drink, and you definitely can't get drunk if you're not allowed to drink. And if you do so, you are risking your position in that group. You are risking your position in that organization, and that's not good. Also, in terms of being a leader, typically when you're a leader, or just even when you're older, you have people that look up to you. You may not always know it, you may not always see it, you may not always, it may not be blatant, it may not be obvious. However, one of the examples that someone once gave me in terms of why they chose not to drink, not necessarily why I choose not to drink, but it is a good example, is that if you are drinking and someone who is following you and supports you and is under your leadership, or looks up to you, sees you drinking, they might assume that it is okay for them to drink, and they might choose to drink and drink excessively, and then they might either continue believing that it's okay and it could lead them down a wrong path, or they might just end up in a negative situation because of that one time of over drinking. But it all stemmed from them seeing a leader that they trusted drink and consume alcohol. And while they may not have talked to that person, people make assumptions all the time. And yes, for the most part, we shouldn't be responsible for people's assumptions, but we are, in a sense. When you are a leader and when you have people to look up to you, you have some form of responsibility. That's just a part of being a part of a community in general. While I may not necessarily be a leader with a title, I am an older sibling. And so, honestly, some of the things that I've done and some of the things that I haven't done well have, whether or not I would like it to or not like it to, they've affected my younger siblings, whether it's introducing them to people who maybe aren't the greatest people, friends who I thought were cool at the time, and now it's just maybe not. Or if it's just, even if I do good things, my siblings see that, my brothers see that, and they could take that example and be like, oh, well, she's the oldest, and because she did it, then I should be able to do it too, and run with it. Yes, my brothers have their own lives, and they can make their own decisions, but that's not to say that being their oldest sibling, I don't have some type of influence on those decisions. I have 3 younger brothers, and they're all they're pretty spaced out. So I can say that I've definitely seen where I've influenced them, whether it be good or bad, and my decisions have affected them. Every decision you make has a consequence. It has the potential of affecting somebody else. So if you're deciding whether or not you want to drink, and maybe if you truly, genuinely care about the people who you're leading and who you're guiding, whether you're in college and you're wanting to be an RA, or you're wanting to be a president or a vice president of a certain organization, and that organization stands for something, then that's something you may want to consider is drinking now at this point in my life worth it? It may not be. But, and that's the thing, like if you decide that you don't want to drink right now, like you're in college, you're college age, if you decide that's not for you, then awesome. That's great. That may not always be your decision, but it's probably a better decision to make now than to get in the future and think that you need to or have developed a habit of drinking and not have a harder time, like kind of have a harder time not drinking. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you did watch, I'm sorry if it was like super long. I did kind of start to ramble. I wrote notes and everything, but I ramble. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's just kind of like my experience with alcohol thus far. I think that's everything. I may have forgotten some things, but that's my experience with alcohol. That's for the most part why I don't drink, why I don't care for it. It's not really a big thing to me. And for those of you who are, like I said, deciding that maybe you don't want to, or you're leaning to not wanting to drink, I genuinely just want you to know that it's perfectly okay. What is permissible for you may not be beneficial for you right now. What is okay with everyone else, or what everyone else is okay with doing, doesn't mean that you have to be okay with it. Like, you can still be your own person. You can stand in your decision not to drink, not to smoke, whatever it is, not to consume certain substances, and you can be perfectly okay in that. And there is a community out there somewhere, even if it feels like no one else on your campus is being sober or pursuing like a lifestyle of sobriety, then know that there is a community out there somewhere that will support you. Yeah, and then that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for sitting and listening. This is Transparent Sunflower, and I am out. Enjoy your beautiful, wonderful day. It is currently Sunday for me, so I'm going to enjoy the rest of my Sunday. And for those of you that are watching on today, happy Father's Day. Later.